the size up. Let's get it. Now, the funny thing is, with all the hate that Gervonta Davis receives, I notice when it's something that doesn't fit the hateful, disparaging comment narrative, I notice the usual suspects and old media, they just say nothing, right? Like, for example, it's very selective. Tank Davis said that when he sees Teofimo, he gonna slap him up. You have a lot of old media that reported that aspect, just that comment, saying that Teofimo was gonna get slapped up. But the context, if you actually watch the clip that they conveniently left out, is he said I was gonna slap up Teofimo for that racist-ish that he was doing. And what he's referring to is calling Terrence Crawford and Gervonta Tank Davis a monkey, which I've already talked about on my channel. And he repeatedly said it and he doubled down on it. And the funny thing is, old media refuses to address the actual concern and put it in context. They just, like, you would think that he just said, I'm gonna slap Teofimo Lopez. Like, that's telling half of a story. It's like what little kids do. Your sibling runs in, snitches to your parents and say, oh, big brother hit me, big brother hit me. But they don't tell how you pushed them off a bike and said a cuss word. They're not gonna tell you what they did. They're only gonna tell you what happened as a result of what they did. And this is what went on with Tank Davis. Tank said in the same sentence, not like he said it and then later he added it on. It's, if you have time to pull quote from the interview, he said it right after, so you would have known that he said, I'm gonna slap Tio for that racist ish he on that racist time, right? Calling people a monkey, basically, right? They don't want to talk about that. The other thing with the size up is that Lamont Roach, everybody kept talking about how Tank, just like Hector Luis Garcia, was pulling up a champion from 130. But what they're not talking about, real boxing talk, is how in every picture, every angle, Lamont Roach looks bigger than Tank. Not only does he look taller, he really kind of looks fuller. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can look at a man in his shoulder, his stature, his, hand size, pause. You guys get what I'm saying, right? And for all intents and purposes, Lamont Roach is bigger, despite him moving up. And that's the thing with these weight classes. In this new generation, you have guys who are truly, truly at a weight class and they starve themselves, cut down. Like, looking at the Richardson Hitchens versus Liam Paro press conference was shocking. Mark Castro and Jalil Hackett, even a little bit Richardson Hitchens, but not as much. But primarily Jalil Hackett and Mark Castro, their face look all sunken and it looked crazy. Because again, you have, I don't know if it's a lack of discipline, cutting out certain portions of training that the older fighters used to do, or a combination of these things. But now you have guys who are campaigning at a weight class and they have to like deplete their bodies to get down there. Devin Haney is another one where you've seen him looking like Skeletor without the muscles when he was on the scale the morning of for the day before the Lomachenko fight, right? Versus Tank Davis, he just did in the interview, he said, I really don't get past 147, maybe 150, maybe. You know what I'm saying? But he said he'd be like 140, 147, maybe up to 150. He doesn't really go past that. But even though Lamont Roach is at a lighter weight class, his walk around weight, which is he's probably at, because he's probably not in camp yet, is probably higher than Tank Davis, especially when you consider somebody being taller. Like if two guys, like just imagine if two guys, let's say they had a similar build, like their arm size was the same, their legs look about the same, but then one person's taller, who do you assume is probably gonna weigh more? If the body, like the phenotype is pretty similar, but then one person happens to be an inch or two taller, then most likely the person who's a bit taller will have the weight advantage if you have a similar body type. So make no mistake about it, from the eye test, Ego Weight Watchers, aka EW, I give you a look into the fighter lifestyle before after progress pics, especially when they have a coming fight up. March 1st is going down, and Lamont Roach is bigger, people. He's bigger. And again, I don't see anybody talking about that. Notice the usual suspects, they only bring up Tank when it's negative. If it's anything negative about Tank, you know, like people are saying he has tax issues and all stuff that don't have nothing to do with actual boxing, right? Oh, he got baby mama drama, he got kicked out the house, he got personal problems, the police, like all this junk that don't really have nothing to do with him as a fighter. Is really chatty patty high school gossipy stuff, you know, some TMZ style stuff. And that's what you guys are trying to turn the sport into, a bunch of TMZ, and we not with it. But then when there's something that makes Tank, like Tank, he had a turkey drive. People will talk about his baby mama drama. They'll talk about tax issues allegedly and rumors and stuff. They don't talk about he just did a turkey drive and gave back to the city. They'll say Tank is pulling up a smaller Lamont Roach, but they won't say that the alleged smaller Lamont Roach, when you've seen him at both press conferences, Lamont Roach is bigger, right? People were saying that Tank was scared and his energy was different at the first press conference. And then the second press conference in DC, he acted completely fine. And now people aren't saying that, because the first one he was talking about retirement, his team wasn't there. I even seen people making up stuff saying his team wasn't there because he fired Calvin Ford and Coach Kenny, and then they were there today. You know, they were there at the DC press conference. So again, watch where you get your information from. There's a lot of low quality information, and as boxing fans, you might as well just skip it. You might as well skip it. A lot of people, they're not really talking about anything. It's all like negative, vitriol, venom, and, you know, stupid, gossipy stuff. Let's get back to some real boxing talk, people.